And now, live from New York City via Los Angeles, California, it's time for The View from Over Here with the man who has a view for all seasons, your host, Stan Weisleder.
I want a job, so I'm going to...
Right. It's forever and a day.
Stan is my
You're
head,
the
okay?
manager. Oh, that's perfect. You're the manager, right?
Did you just give us a
Yes, I did.
high sign? You missed it. Stan, we're on.
I didn't see the finger. He has to give me the finger.
Okay, give us a finger again. Okay, there's a finger.
Okay, we got the finger. We on?
We're
Are we
on.
live?
We on. No, we're podcasts.
Oh, shit. Okay, here we go. Hey, everybody
we're
out
not,
there.
We're not live.
Hey, all right, Malcolm. Shh, quiet.
Okay.
Hey, everybody out there. This is Stan Weisleder on The View from Over Here. We are broadcasting from the Mark Grau studio, and we have Malcolm Burman, our producer, with us.
Hey, guys.
And we have a very special guest today, which I'm going to go through a long introduction. His name is Hank Garrett, and he is here with his manager. Her name is DM. That's the easy way to pronounce it. And it's better than BM. Remember that, you people out there. Malcolm, do you want to say anything before I go into our intro?
No, let you guys talk.
Now, I have to be nice to Hank because when I looked him up, he and I have the same birth date. October 26th.
Really?
Same, okay? So you have to be nice to me, and I'll be nice to you.
Are you sure you're not Siamese twins?
No, definitely not.
No, I saw Danny DeVito.
A little bit about Hank. He's done a lot of things in the in the entertainment business. He was born in Monticello, New York, but he grew up in Harlem, a very nice neighborhood. Well, maybe back then it was nice. Now I don't know.
It never was.
Never was. Okay.
But actually, at one time, I don't know when you were there, it was a Jewish neighborhood, at least the west side of Harlem. But you're sort of like on East Harlem.
Yes.
All right. So let me say this about Hank. I know he is mine, but I believe he's also everyone's favorite mailman. Okay, that refers to a movie that he was in, which blew me away. I said, "Wow, who was that guy?" And then I find out later, years later, he's not just a heavy in a lot of different things. He was also a comic and a wrestler. And I got to tell you this. He wrestled for 9 years, okay? And as a wrestler, you have to have a gig, a special name, like the Terrible Turk, Gorgeous George, or whatever, Mr. Adonis.
He was known as the Jovial Jew.
No, well, he may have been a jovial Jew, but you got to hear what...
Is it just going to be you two guys talking over here? What is it?
No. After the intro, you could have the whole hour, whatever. Okay, but I got to get this. When he was wrestling for 9 years, he went under the name the Minnesota Farm Boy.
Hank Daniels, the Minnesota Farm Boy.
And he's never even been in Minnesota. So, there you go. That's showbiz for you.
He's never been on a farm.
Correct, yeah. Now, he's been in loads of TV. I mean, I won't even name them all. You've seen these programs. He's been, by my count, about 19 different movies. Always the heavy, I believe. I don't think he did comedy except in his stand-up routines. And anyway, without further ado, Hank, welcome to The View from Over Here.
Thank you.
And if you don't have questions, I have questions for you.
Well,
Mike.
you have the microphone now for the next 45 minutes. I'm leaving the room, so.
Oh, okay.
You can
bye.
You can do your shtick.
When is your book coming out?
Shortly. We've been working on this book for a while, and it should be out in the next few weeks.
Tell everybody what it's about.
It's about my life on the streets of Harlem. That's where it started. I was a street hoodlum, and my mom and dad were fruit and vegetable peddlers. And one of the customers was a guy who was the mayor of Harlem. And my mother was crying to him that I was always in trouble, which was true. The cops were always looking for me. And as a kid...
Are they still looking?
No, they found me a couple of times.
I got the perfect lead for the movie, Kevin Hart. Could be you as a youth.
A youth or a ute?
A ute.
A ute? Okay.
Ute. Anyway, so I was brought to Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy, the mayor, took me there, and Sammy told me that Mr. Bryant, that was the mayor, said, "You're either going to go to prison or you're going to die." And I said, "That's it?" He said, "The way you're going, absolutely. You got to understand, I was packing a gun when I was 13. So I was always in trouble.
What kind of gun?
A 38 count. No, the first one was a 25 caliber semi-automatic.
Okay.
Then I graduated to a 38 caliber revolver.
Okay. But you didn't get to any automatics.
Well, yeah, the first one was.
No, the first one, but I mean a heavy caliber.
Later on.
Later on. Okay.
He was only 13 then.
Yeah, it was too heavy for me to carry. And so Sammy Davis and Mr. Bryant got me a gig being a band boy for an all African American band.
A band boy? What does that mean, a band boy?
I had to put out the seats, the charts.
Oh, okay.
And
like a gopher, worker, peon.
Well, no, never a gopher. Never. Forget about this gopher. No, they and
I didn't say gopher. I said gopher.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, gopher. What? And go for this and go for that. Right.
It reminds me of the old Steve Martin movie. I grew up I was a young black boy.
Yes. Yeah.
When you discovered that you weren't black.
Just now when I'm talking to you two assholes. Anyway.
You're supposed to be nice. I'm born on the same day as you. Oh, he is being nice.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, wait till the show.
Yeah, I was going to say you don't want to see me when I'm not nice. And so that was it. And then I started working the Catskills as a comic. I put together a few jokes and was working a lot of the smaller places. And I wound up later on opening for Tony Bennett. I was his opening act for 4 years.
That's impressive.
And the opening night at the Copa, and then at the Sands in Las Vegas. The Sands, everyone turned out. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. Not for me, for Tony. And it was the most amazing feeling in my life. Thinking about, I was from Harlem. I was a hoodlum. And here I am working probably the most prestigious club in the world. That and the Copacabana.
Some of the top names in the industry.
All of this will be in your book, right?
Oh, yes, yes. And my manager, Deanna Marie, she's right on top of it, things that I had forgotten about. And she'll question me. Now, I don't type and I don't use a computer, so everything is written in longhand. And she then...
But she could type, and she uses a computer.
Oh, she's amazing. She's amazing. And so, as I said, things that I had forgotten about, she will question me. What did you do then? What did you do then? And it's all in the book.
So the book starts out when you were like a little kid, or from the day you were born?
I was on the streets. My mother and father were fruit and vegetable peddlers. They didn't have, and I was born very late in life to them. I was the accident. And so...
You're an accident?
And that's what they said.
Did you have any siblings? Brothers, sisters?
Half brothers.
Half brothers?
Yeah. And then
how far does the book go? Up to today? Or?
Up to today.
Okay. I have to read this, Malcolm.
Well,
Sounds good.
Well, when it's published, when it's done, we'll have them back
Too
on the
many
show
other
and we'll
books
promote
that
it.
are written by other guys in the entertainment business. They didn't have your kind of beginning, which I can appreciate. Having a similar, maybe identical kind of beginning. Usually they start off on a happy note, and it ends on a happy note, or whatever.
Well, that's what we're hoping, that this ends on a happy note. But I was a miserable kid because nobody. Well, let me explain. One time, my mother was at a pushcart, and
you have to tell people. A lot of people out there have no clue what a pushcart is.
It's a cart. A large cart, hand-powered, and they pile on all kinds of different... This was all fruits and vegetables that they sold to people who came over, and they had paper bags that they put the stuff in, and they had a scale, and that was the whole business. It was a portable business.
For which they needed a license from the city.
They didn't then.
They didn't then? Okay, that came later.
They didn't have a storefront. It was just a pushcart?
Pushcart, and then later on they got access to a market, an enclosed market.
Okay, big time, okay.
And so, but when some woman came over to my mother, and I was about 5 or 6 years old, and said, is that your little boy? And she said, no, that's my grandson. because I was born to her, she was in her mid to late 40s.
That was old in those days.
And she wouldn't admit that I was her son. My father was in the country illegally, and he took my mother's last name, which was Greenberg.
Yeah, I noticed on your bio there you got a lot of names.
Yeah, I didn't know who I was. In fact, so the census taker came around. My father came to the door, and he said, how many in the family? And my father said, 4. It's a woman and her 3 kids, my 2 half-brothers. And the guy said, and who are you? He said,
I'm the pusher-cut man.
I'm an uncle. My father, now saying he's my uncle, my mother became my grandmother. I didn't know who I was. I'm confused. And because I was so confused and so angry, I fought everybody. I fought everybody that came toward me.
Interesting.
I became a scrapper.
Sure.
And
Well, you said you're involved now with groups to work with kids that were similar to you, to your background, or to your temperament in those days, to straighten them out.
Yes, thanks to Deanna Marie. Deanna Marie is from a farm in Idaho.
Milking cows?
Tractor driving.
Now I know where you're the farm boy. You probably didn't know it, but that was
Subliminally,
and that was a word of the future. You knew the future ahead of time.
Absolutely. So she set it up through a friend. He's a minister, and he would minister to kids that were in trouble. And she set it up so
black or white kids, or doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. We went and we spoke to kids from 11 to 17 that are incarcerated. They were in institutions. They were awaiting trial or sentencing. These kids didn't know me, didn't know anything about me. And one of the saving graces is we played a clip of Car 54, Where Are You?, which I was in. Now they started laughing because they had never seen the show before either. And Deanna Marie introduced me. And
You
I
didn't
walked
show
out.
them 3 Days of the Condor.
No. No, they would not, because they'd be up beating each other up. And I was able to talk to them. Now, unfortunately, my oldest son spent most of his life in prison. And I told these kids about my life and my son, because I told them I was sitting right where you kids are now. Had it not been for an angel that was sent to me, Sammy Davis Jr., I would be right there spending my life in prison, because I didn't know what else to do with my life. We got 14 letters from these kids, all of them thanking us, and a couple of them referring to me as their angel when I told them that Sammy Davis was mine.
That must have felt good.
Oh, my God, did it ever. And then Deanna Marie set it up for me to speak to women in prison. And at one point, we were all in tears, all the women and myself, just telling them about my life.
Was that filmed by any chance?
Not allowed to.
Oh, right, in jail, okay.
So, but the woman wrote me a letter. And the letters from these kids, and we were invited to a dinner with one of the kids' families. He came out. He's become a musician. And we went to visit, he and the family. And wow, what a feeling that was. And for him to say, it couldn't have happened if it wasn't for you guys.
That's a hell of a story.
Yeah.
And this is all in the book.
Yes, absolutely. And this is what I want to do.
This is all you want to do?
Not all. I still love entertaining.
Is there a way that anybody in the audience can get involved with that group, or is there a group, or is there possibly they can contribute?
Yes, Malcolm, we have Hank has a website. It's called hankgarrett.biz, B-I-Z, and I have one. It's for Red Warrior Management, and it's actually the website is rwmgmt.com. And we'll have a spot there where they can respond. We'd love to get people involved. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful thing you guys are doing. I mean, you got so much in life, and now you're giving back.
Well, I'll tell you something. For all the wonderful things that happened for me, I never really appreciated what was happening until I met Deanna Marie. She gave me a completely different outlook on life. I'm enjoying life now where I didn't before.
Speaking about life, we left you off in the Catskills. Where did you go from there? You were doing your shtick in the Catskill Mountains.
He was born in the Catskills originally.
Yeah.
Went to Harlem.
Right.
He got grown up. He went back to the Catskills to do a comic routine.
Oh.
But in between, you were a wrestler.
Yeah.
You have to tell us about that, because when I was a little kid, 5, 6, 7, my father was a wrestling nut. I mean, real nut. He would go every Friday. He would take me with him, and after a while, I liked it, and I would go with him. And he was a short guy, about a half a foot shorter than me, and he took pictures with these guys. They were like 7, 8 feet tall.
I know them.
And that's all he talked about, the wrestling. He went whenever he had the chance. He would bring them home for dinner. My mother would make them dinners and everything.
Oh, my God.
Didn't have him for dinner?
No, I don't remember.
Never
No. No, because listen, we're close in age. You're a little bit older than me. I won't say to the people out there how much older, but no. My father never brought this guy home.
How did you get into professional wrestling? If you're a comic, and
Yeah.
I know wrestling is a joke.
Don't ever tell another wrestler.
But you have to tell us, because everybody.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I remember one wrestling match. I was about 6. The referee got PO'd at the 2 wrestlers. I don't know why. Maybe they didn't listen to his instructions. The referee, the guy.
Yes, I know what a referee is.
He actually flipped these guys one at a time over the ring, over the the rope, out into the seats. Now, was that contrived? Or did he really have such power?
Oh, he was very powerful.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
Well, I know most of it is an act, but these guys are tremendous athletes.
I don't know about act. You can check with the hospitals. You don't act broken ribs and busted noses and dislocated shoulders.
How did you get into wrestling?
Okay, I got involved in working out, pumping iron. And I went to the Y on 135th Street. It was the YMCA. And I met a gentleman who was the world champ weightlifter. And he was the Olympic winner. And I started training with him, but I didn't have the finesse for Olympic lifts. So I became a power lifter. And at one point I broke the New York State powerlifting record. And while I was working out with Mr. Davis, he said, a guy came up to me and said, I was watching you. You're a really strong kid. I said, yeah. Wow. He said, how would you like to be a wrestler? I said, what? He said, I can guarantee you, and he meant that it was like $35 or $40 a match. But it was $35 or $40 more than I was making. So I said, yeah, I'd be interested. So he took me to a guy who was a promoter in New York, and they said, we've got to come up with a good name for you. What are we going to call him?
Yeah, Greenberg wasn't good enough?
Yeah, we're going to call him the Harlem Boob. Yeah. No. We're going to call it Farm Boy. We'll call him a Farm Boy. Where the farms? Where are farms? Where from? I don't know. Minnesota. So I became the Minnesota Farm Boy. Now they changed my name from Greenberg, which I had changed to Garrett, and he changed it to Daniels. So I became Hank Daniels, the Minnesota Farm Boy.
I've heard of you.
And where did you wrestle?
started wrestling in New York, and then I went on the road. I wrestled all over.
Did you see the movie?
The Wrestler.
No, the one with, I think Peter Falk was in it, and they had the two girls.
Very different. In fact, Joe.
All the Marbles or something?
Yes, and Joe, my publicist and producer, he's here. He's in the sound studio. And so he manages one of the young ladies who was one of the wrestlers.
Laureen,
yeah.
Oh. Okay, I know who that is, yeah.
Beautiful tall woman, and you'd never think that she could do these strong stunts.
When I saw that movie,
did you still wrestle? Or
No. She's a wonderful actress.
Uh-huh.
When I saw that movie, Malcolm, I said, "Wow, these girls, they can wrestle, and they can act."
Yeah.
Which came first? Were they wrestlers that they taught how to act, or were they actresses that they taught how to wrestle? Then I read someplace way after that. They were taught how to wrestle.
Yes,
they were.
They were wonderful.
They
She did some flying stunts that were sensational.
But they had to have been athletic before.
Oh yeah, well, they have to be athletic. I mean, the things they do, even though today we all know that it's scripted. It's fully admitted on the wrestling site that it's scripted.
But you still have to go through the motions.
I never read a script about wrestling.
One time when I was, this is back in the mid-'80s, and there was a guy, Lou Albano, the captain Lou Albano.
I knew him quite well.
Who's Cyndi Lauper's uncle. But anyway, and he was always a bad guy, and he has his beard and with rubber bands on them. I met him at the Universal Hilton. And he was such a sweet guy. He was doing voiceovers for children's cartoons.
Yes.
And he was so nice. He said, "Hey, sit down." Yeah, I went over to introduce myself because I always, when I see somebody that I think I know or celebrity, I always say hello. And he's, "Hey, why don't you come down and have a drink?" He was drinking alone. Such a sweet guy. And then you see him on the, in the wrestling matches. Oh, my God.
I have one of his T-shirts at home.
Were you a good guy or a bad guy?
I was called a baby face.
A baby face.
I was a good guy. And the villains would work me over.
How many times did you win? What percentage?
Well, the good guys always lost. It was unless you're a good guy.
Yeah, I was a very good guy.
Oh.
I was, the baby face, but really a baby face. Because I started wrestling, I was 16, and I turned pro at 17.
Who's the biggest wrestler you ever wrestled against? Because some of those guys are huge.
Killer Kowalski.
Killer Kowalski, yeah. I remember him from the movies.
I was wrestling Killer Kowalski. First of all, my first time in California. He meets me at the airport, and he checks me into the Montecito Hotel. And he takes me to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Nicest guy. I can't even leave a tip. I'm wrestling him that night at the Hollywood Legion Stadium.
Then he beats the shit out of you.
Well, I go to shake his hand, and he slapped me right across the face. And I said, "Okay, next time I'll leave the tip." And we get into what they call a referee's lock. And I said, "Hey, you're really putting the boots to me." And all I heard was, I said, "I can play your game, pal." And I hit the ropes, and I hit him with what they call a forearm smash right across the chest. And when I threw the shot, I was looking down, and I saw that his feet never moved, even after I hit him with this shot.
You knew you were in trouble.
I looked up, and he had his arms crossed, and he said, "Is that your best shot?" And I went, "Oh, boy."
That's when you became an actor.
I go into the locker room after the match, because I didn't remember what happened. And I said, good match. He said, "Do you know how many times you ran past me?" I said, "I ran past you?" He said, "And each time you ran past me, you kept yelling, 'Ma!'" And he was taking me apart. Oh, and he had a grip called the claw hold, where he would remove your spinal column without any anesthesia, just his fingertips. And so he started doing that. And I said to him, "Where were you at my bris?" And he slammed the heck out of me. But and the first guy I wrestled was Kola Kwariani, an old Russian gentleman. And as I was approaching the ring, I looked at my manager and I said, "Why is he wearing a fur coat?" He wasn't. He was all hair. It looked like Cousin It.
Yeah.
So now, in the middle of the match, he says, "You're a strong boy?" Question and answer. I said, "Yeah, I'm strong." He put his arm out and said, "Put lock." And I put a double wrist lock on him. And he straightened both my arms with his one arm. And he said, "Listen, go home, tell mommy give you glass milk, you baby." And I won.
Uh-huh.
Because he body slammed me about a dozen times. And the last time that he scooped me up, he held me over his head and he fell back. I landed on him and the referee. And I won. Lucky break.
He was told, lose to the baby face.
Now, when you win, do you get paid extra, or it's a flat rate no matter what?
Yeah.
Because I know I don't know if you, some of their names I remember back when is like Bruno San Martino. He was supposed to be big, or
I remember that name.
Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh.
I mean, these guys were huge.
Well, Bruno was about 270, 280. Gorilla Monsoon was almost 400 pounds.
So you were actually small compared to the guys who you were up against.
No, when I was wrestling, I was up to 260.
You're up to 260. Wow.
Well, you don't look anywhere near 260.
How tall are you?
Then.
That's what I tell my kids.
Yeah.
Then.
I was about 5'10" and a half.
Oh, so you were.
But I
with
was
a 32-inch waist.
I was very powerful.
He was a weightlifter, yeah.
As a powerlifter, I did a 750-pound squat.
Wow.
Impressive. That's, yes.
And I benched almost 660, 670. But I broke the New York State record, and I broke both my knees at the same time.
Yet with all that strength, these guys were still able to kick the shit out of you.
I was very strong, and I could toss them around pretty good. I started in martial arts when I was 11. I was training with a guy named Min Pai, who was from Korea. So I was learning Taekwondo Hapkido, only because I wanted to be a better street fighter.
Is that like Taekwondo?
Yes, it's Taekwondo Hapkido. And in fact, a friend of ours teaches Hapkido, and he's the world champ. He's amazing. And we have another buddy who I've known forever, named Benny the Jet Urquidez. He's the 6-time world kickboxing champ.
Benny the Jet is worldwide known, well known.
Amazing guy. And we're godparents to his grandson.
Yeah, we'd like to have him come on the show and you interview him.
Hank, do you have like a black belt or one of those belts?
A fifth degree black belt. Okay. I'm considered master, and some are considering me grandmaster.
Do you still practice, or?
No, but we have been going to a lot of martial art conventions. We're being honored, or we're honoring someone else. In fact, Joe Williamson, who's sitting in the control booth, he's amazing. He has been setting up so many wonderful things for us.
Well, he's afraid not to.
Oh, no, he's 6'4".
That's okay. You know, the taller they are, the harder they fall.
No. This man is
my granddaughter, when she was 5, she was a junior black belt, but I don't know what degree. I guess it must have been, 7th or 8th or 9th when you start out as a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
She was only 5 years old.
It's a junior black belt because my kids did the same thing. And
so a lot of kids do that. Then they lose interest and they
to become a black belt, they were a black belt trainee. They got up to the belt before the black.
Yeah.
But it took so much training for them to take the black belt
sure.
test. And both of them were into baseball, into soccer, into schoolwork, that they really didn't have the time to dedicate to the study to get the black belt. So they just stopped before. But I love the black belt teachers that my kids had. Because they had kids any place from like the 6 years old or younger up to teenagers. And with the 6-year-olds, and he would say, okay, left hand. And the kid would pick up the left hand. No, the other left hand. But it was so cute, the parents loved it.
Well, I had a dojo. Well, I was a partner in a dojo in New York, and we trained little ones. And a woman came in, and she bought every piece of equipment she could find, protective equipment. By the time she got this kid dressed, he looked like a barrel. Knee guards, foot guards, shoe guards, eye guards, nose guard. Got him loaded up, and he said, I have to go to the bathroom. Now she had to take every piece of equipment. By the time he went to the bathroom and got redressed, the class was over.
Yeah.
And said he'd come up to me and say, how did I do, Sensei? I said, you were wonderful.
You did excellent potty.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that in the book?
I think
It will
is.
be.
Yeah. That's a good story. Great story.
So, were you into acting yet, or you hadn't started acting before wrestling? Or
No, I went to an acting class.
Well, you have to tell us, what was the sequence? Hoodlum, wrestler, comic, actor, what was the sequence?
A lot happened at the same time.
Okay.
When I was wrestling, I get a call. I'm in California. And they said, would you mind being an escort bodyguard to Audrey Hepburn? I said, mind?
would I mind?
And the line on which I did, and I said to my agent, the guy who was asking me to do this, and I said, he said, we have to talk about pay. I said, I'll pay her whatever she wants.
Right. How much does she want?
And I had to escort Miss Hepburn, and it was a luncheon. And what they were going to do is bid on the celebrity for a fundraiser, and whoever spent the most would have either dinner or lunch with Audrey Hepburn. And
how much did you bid?
She got $25,000.
Wasn't him.
On me, they bid $1.17, and they wanted the money back at the end of the evening. And she was just an amazing, sweet lady.
Was she as exquisite looking as she seemed on the screen?
Oh, absolutely.
She looked so darling.
She looked like this little girl with this gorgeous face. And she had been a dancer. And so she had a very lithe body, as DM Marie has.
Ooh. Nice to be compared to Audrey Hepburn, huh?
Yes.
Oh.
He trains me, though, I must tell you.
Oh, okay. With the weights, right?
Absolutely.
Well, she does yoga. I promise you, she does an hour of yoga.
Is that like in yogurt? No,
that's a different thing.
It's a different yogurt.
I've never been surrounded by comics on both ends.
Well, you got Rabbi Cutler's services.
Right.
There's comics all over there.
Stereophonic. Anyway, and then she'll go and train for an hour with me. Pumping iron after putting in an hour.
Well, that's why she looks so good.
Oh, she's amazing.
Hank, you still train?
Oh, yeah.
How frequent?
As much as we possibly can squeeze
3 times
in.
a week, 5 times a week, once a week?
At least 3 times a week.
3 times a week,
yeah.
for back an hour and a half to 2 hours?
Oh, sure.
Do you own yoga, or do you go to a class?
I go to classes because it disciplines me, and I've always done it since I lived in England. But I think I'm in great shape. But I didn't know about martial arts. And he's
till you
taught
met
me
this
about
guy.
that.
Okay.
And then I said, I want you to try, part of the deal of me managing you, I want you to train me, because I could never afford someone of your caliber. And so at the gym all the time, he's telling me what to do. And then he'll say, go look in the mirror. And I do. And people think I'm like this egotistical. But he shows me how to do this. And pretty soon I'm wanting to have him enter me in something.
Can you kick the shit out of anyone yet?
Not that I know of, but I bet I could.
Yeah.
Oh, when the show's over, tell me where you train. I want to go.
With him.
Since we live near each other, I'll go.
In his house. Well, wait a minute. You two
at
guys
the
live
gym.
near each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we've been.
And you have your own gym, right?
Oh, that.
Well, Lee said about that right now.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Do you go to LA Fitness or to?
We go to 24 hours.
Okay, the one over on Sepulveda.
We've been going to the one on Lancashire.
Lancashire. We did go. I'm with the 24-hour fitness, but when he said he would train me, he was with the LA Fitness, so I had to switch over.
Yeah. Actually, I'm on both.
Yeah.
I do LA Fitness and 24
Really?
hours. Well, I have this deal. I started in LA Fitness and when it was Holiday Spa.
Oh, wow.
back when I first came to L.A. in the early 80s.
Yeah, that's what I used to go
Right,
to.
and I had the one in Hollywood, on Hollywood and La Brea. In fact, that's where I met Sylvester Stallone. He used to train there with John. I forget John's last name, who was the director. But anyway, so it was a lifetime membership.
Wow.
$44 renewal.
Oh.
What
So,
annually?
Annually, $44
For one person.
Wow.
for one person.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm with 24-hour, Malcolm.
Yeah.
And I pay for the 4 in the family. I pay $54 a quarter
A quarter. Yeah.
for 4 people.
That's not bad either.
That's a great deal.
Well, it goes way, way, way back. Like when they first opened.
But 40, and then it continued. Then from LA Fitness, from Holiday Spa became Bally's,
Bally's.
and from Bally's became
LA.
LA Fitness. And it's also I had this membership which I can go to New York or any of the membership gyms around the country, because I used to travel back and forth to New York a lot.
Wow.
So I'd go in New York. It was Jack LaLanne I could go to.
Wow.
Then used to be one on 74th and Broadway that I would train at. But anyway, okay. So now we were finding out how you got into acting. You were the bodyguard for Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn. I met a guy who was a writer at the time. He was also a comic. He was doing a comedy routine, and his name is Paul Mazursky. Paul became a hotshot producer, director, exactly. But he had an acting class for variety people, actors, singers, dancers. And I started working out with him. I went to class a couple of nights a week and started really enjoying acting. Got an agent, and they submitted me for a bunch of stuff. But I had the background in New York because I was one of the characters on Car 54, Where Are You? I played Nicholson.
Okay. That was even before you went.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was it's one of the classics that's being repeated now a lot.
Yes, exactly.
Do you get, what do they call them?
Residuals? No.
You don't get nothing?
Nothing.
Bummer.
Okay, yeah, big bummer. So, and boy, the Car 54 has had a tremendous rebirth. And people recognize me everywhere. That there are two things that I'm recognized for internationally for 3 Days of the Condor. And locally, Car 54.
Oh, I have to tell everybody out there, okay? When I said at the beginning, my and everyone's favorite mailman, that's a part that he played in 3 Days of the Condor. So let me tell you this. If Hank ever delivers mail to your house, don't let him inside. You will regret it.
That's one of your favorite parts, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what is your favorite part?
It's got to be Condor.
Condor?
Yeah.
That was Robert Redford?
Robert Redford, Faye Dunaway, Max von Sydow.
Yes.
And Max was my boss. I play a CIA assassin. And I was recruited.
You never saw it?
That's known as typecasting.
It's a great movie.
I've seen sections of
gotta
it. I haven't seen the whole movie.
This guy, I can't imagine anybody playing that part as good as he did.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
But I tell you, when I watched that, this is no comic.
Well, I wound up winning the New York Film Critics for Best Fight Scene in Film.
Well, what is your favorite? Do you like stand-up? Must be so difficult. I can imagine being on the stage alone, trying to make people laugh.
And you don't want them to laugh at you.
Yeah.
You want them to laugh with you.
When you're scoring, it's the greatest high. I couldn't get any higher if I did drugs.
Did you make up your own material?
Yes.
Based on your experience, life experiences?
Exactly.
Do you still do stand-up now, or?
Oh, yeah.
Do you go tour the country or the clubs, or?
Well, we're going to be doing a one-man show once the book is out, and Deanna Marie is handling that.
Well, you got to get us a schedule of that. Definitely,
Will do.
We'll publish that because our show is heard
But are you
nationally,
going to be doing
internationally.
comedy there or a song and dance routine?
No, I don't do song and dance. My lead-in to my book is comedy.
Okay.
I do part of my act, and then I talk about my life.
And that's funny?
I'm sorry?
And your life is funny?
Oh, boy, is it funny.
Malcolm, it's either funny or it'll scare the Jesus out of you.
But I got to tell you something about transitions. I keep talking about Deanna Marie. Deanna Marie was probably one of the best clothing designers ever. She had a studio in London. She had a studio in New York and had a studio here.
Then why is she messing with you?
Thank God she never really stopped to think about it. And
Well, we're going to have to do a show on you.
Oh, absolutely.
The separate.
Oh, yeah, she's we were out, we were having dinner and talking about the stuff that she did. And she said, I don't want to bore you, but I said, I'd love to see some of your work. And she brought out books of her work. And I went absolutely nuts. I couldn't believe the designs. And award-winning designs. And for a guy to look at women's clothing and be really saying, my God, what the stuff that she used.
And you were looking at the design and not the women.
Oh, I was looking at her. And it was...
Did you design it, or did you manufacture it, or do both?
Yes, I manufactured in the States, then I worked out of England and manufactured there, too.
And you're not doing that any longer, or you're still doing it?
No, I had to leave England because of immigration, and I came back here, and my life has
What do you mean
many
immigration?
turns.
I thought they were only getting rid of the Muslims.
Oh, well,
You don't look
somehow,
like a Muslim to me.
somehow they didn't let me know that. I really tried, Stan. It was just heartbreaking because I'd built a whole new business to be an international designer at that stage.
So your green card expired or whatever.
The work visa.
And I think they wanted 900,000 pounds, which is much more.
Sounds like a
dollars.
lot.
At that time, it was
It's
probably
about
$5,000.
somewhere around there. And you never continued your design in
Not in the
US?
same way. I think once you're a designer, you always design to carry that creativity around.
Did you go to art school to learn, or was it just something you did naturally?
Yes, no, I graduated. Well, I was raised on the farm, and they teach you how to cook and sew to be a good wife. But I didn't
milk
want
cows,
any of that.
and like you said,
I
you
knew
drove
that
the
wasn't for
tractor
me.
and stuff like that.
So
She drove a tractor.
What'd she say? Yeah.
No, well, it's funny how the farm girl met the farm boy. It's it's a story made in heaven.
But how did you learn that craft?
what I did, Stan, I got to go to California, go to college. My parents could not have afforded university for me. Got to go to school down here, graduated from Long Beach State, and then I found out, I met Edith Head, and she advised me where to go beyond, because I still didn't know what I wanted to do. There were so many things in life. And I went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising.
FID, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
FIDM.
wait a minute, that's in New York.
The one out here.
Oh, there's
That's
one here
FID.
too?
Downtown,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They had it for a while. They had 4 schools, including Europe at the time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, I have a cousin that's for years I don't know what you would call it. She like knocks off designs from famous designers, and she works for a large company, and she takes those designs and give it to her factories, which are outside of the country. You know, their factories.
Is that legal?
In Asia? Yeah.
Yeah, in this country, yes.
Yeah, because they change 1 or 2 things, but basically it's the same type of style with some changes into it, and she's done very well in that.
Well, I got to tell you what she did recently. She was being honored at the Southern California Celebrity Get-Together. She was being honored, and she said, I should make something to wear. She went downtown and bought this handful of fabric, and she went to work on it. She made this incredible gown, a cape, and gloves, all her own design. And I'm just watching this thing take place. It was amazing.
It's fascinating.
Oh.
Got to get together with my wife. She loves wearing things and designing things, but in her head she doesn't. She knows what she likes and puts it together.
Oh, I'd love to.
She has an exquisite taste in that. Maybe you guys can get
I've
together.
met her.
And
She's beautiful.
yeah.
She would wear clothes
Yeah.
very well.
I mean, maybe you guys can get together and have some sort of business. And also, one of the people working at the complex, Eddie, his wife, works for Juicy Couture, or the 2 girls that own it, and I think she's a designer for them. So there are a lot of different contacts we could have.
Have you ever tried to do design work for the film industry?
I've done just a little bit, Stan. It's that's always something I always wanted to do before I ended designing, to design for a movie, and maybe that'll come.
They used to have
when we sell his book,
Right.
the script as a movie, we'll make sure that you're the costume designer. You got that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, she mentioned Edith Head. Edith Head designed my wardrobe for a series I did with James Earl Jones.
the one in Paris.
Yeah.
Is that still available? I want to see it. Can I catch it somehow? Would you know where I could find it?
I haven't got the vaguest idea.
Every time I hear James Earl Jones, my voice goes down.
Oh,
4 octave.
Yeah,
huh?
no, it's like when I was working in Channel 5 in New York. They're just, trying to, like an associate producer. But every time all the announcers spoke like this. And they had this deep baritone voice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and every time I would speak to them, I noticed my voice would come down another level. And when I left them, I was speaking like this. And I tried, but I couldn't keep it up.
Golden tone.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Anyway, on your designs, about a year ago at the LA Museum, was it LACMA? LACMA?
Yeah, LA County.
They had an exhibit on design in the movies. They even bought the book. They're selling a book there. And the exhibits were amazing. And they explained that if anybody wants to become a director now, it is required that they take a course, at least one, in design of costumes, etc., for the movies. And in one of the exhibits, one of the speakers was Meryl Streep.
Oh.
And before she became an actress, she was a designer, pattern maker, whatever, making stuff that the gals wore in the movies.
Interesting.
It's amazing.
It makes sense, Stan, because visual, in a movie, you not only have a director would want to have a great script and everything, but the first thing people see as well as hear before they speak is how they look. So the costumes are so important.
Yeah, almost every aspect in the movies are important, whether it be the costume, whether it be the sound effects, whether it be the sound,
Yes.
aside from the script and aside from the acting. It's such a
one of the
composite
most
type of,
important elements is, and people don't realize how important the element of music.
music.
Oh, yes, that too.
If you take one of the best all-time movies ever,
Casablanca.
if you took that song, that soundtrack out of the movie, it would not be the same, I guarantee.
No, none of the movies would be.
No, it's that composite
Yeah,
that you
it's a
talk about,
Except for
Malcolm.
Mickey Mouse.
Now, Mickey Mouse, one of the best movies ever, from me at least, from Disney, is Fantasia.
Fantasia.
1939.
Yep.
It is so, you got to see it and see it in the big screen.
Well, he was
It
a
is mesmerizing. He was a magician. He worked for Merlin.
Absolutely.
But it had all that music.
Do you know who the
classical
conductor
music.
was? The conductor
I
was
knew, but I'm
very
forgetting now.
famous guy. If I recall correctly, Leopold Stokowski
Could be, yeah.
was again, my memory is going, I'm getting older, but I think that was the guy.
But from 1939, it's amazing how it's even to this day. But you have to see it on the big screen.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's almost like if you want to appreciate dancing, you have to see Fred Astaire on the big screen.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up watching him on television. Yeah, one time I saw him on the big screen, I fell in love. I mean, his movements are so sublime and so graceful. It's almost like poetry.
Well, Fred Astaire was at one of the wrestling matches, and he was so intrigued that guys our size could move the way we move. He was so into movement.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, what an amazing
We're talking
guy.
about that. They did there was a documentary a few years ago, and they were showing how the moves of a basketball player, especially their jumping, was very similar to moves of the ballet dancers.
Oh, sure.
As it goes, doing whatever they call, jumping up in the air, and they put it to music, and it was marvelous.
But when they jumped, they weren't called sissies.
Not the basketball players, the ballet players, the ballet.
Yeah.
But
It's the same thing with martial artists. When you see a guy flying across and with his leg extended.
Well, yeah, I mean, who obviously the one who Benny the Jet was popularized, but Bruce
yeah.
Lee,
he
was the one that brought it to worldwide fame.
And you know, these guys are so fast because I remember the instructor for my granddaughter. He did a lot of movies too. He's a black guy. I can't remember his name. Billy something.
Billy Banks.
Maybe that was okay. He did some exhibits for the people coming before the kids did their stuff. This guy was so fast with his hands. Wham! Yeah. Where did it come from? He was so quick. I couldn't believe how fast. And there was no camera trickery because you were watching it.
Oh, yeah.
Guy was like lightning.
Well, for a few years, I was doing Tai Chi Wan with private instructor, a friend of mine, Donald Wong, who did it as a kid, and he was like about 5'2", maybe 120 pounds. I remember when we first started, he said, "Okay, punch me," and I had done boxing. He said, "Are you kidding? I'm gonna deck you." He said, "No, throw your best punch," and I threw the punch, and he just moved his head back, took my arm, pushed me, and threw me off balance. I said, "Let me try that again." Never touched him, but he would just use my force, my power. And pushed me.
I had to do an exhibition with an elderly Japanese gentleman who was in his late 60s, and he shuffled out. It looked like Mickey Mouse.
And how old were you?
18.
I bet you thought you were going to cream him.
I told my teacher, I said, "Look, if I throw the shot and I miss, the wind is going to knock him over." And his little man shuffled out, and he had 3 hairs. That was his weird. We bowed to each other, and everything I threw, he just turned his head, missed. I threw a front snap kick, came up, just
a little movement.
And I said, "Okay, now I'm going to put this little guy away." And I did a flying side kick. And as my foot came close to his face, he touched my ankle, and I landed on my head.
And you're still recovering from it.
And I said to myself, "I'm just going to shoot him outside. I'll borrow a truck and run him over."
Anyway, guys, we got about 2-3 minutes left. Anything you want to mention to the audience, or repeat again your website, or where they could?
Oh, I'll do that. Hank's website is www.hankgarrett.biz, B-I-Z.
Is that Worldwide Wrestling?
No.
Sounds like it, huh? And my website for Red Warrior Management is www.rwmgmt.com.
Okay, you'll have to give us that to post it.
And I just have to say that I'm surrounded with the best group. We have an amazing group of people,
which we call the Dream Team.
Starting with Joe Williamson.
Joe, are you listening to this? You can talk.
I think I fell asleep now.
Okay. You stepped out. That's unfair. Okay, thanks, Aaron.
Yes, and so Deanna Marie put this whole thing together, and it's absolutely amazing. I've never had this before, and I was with the biggest managers in the business, and I was with the biggest agency in the business, and I never had this kind of attention.
You know why? Don't take offense by it. You were a small fish in a big pond. That's why. So when you have your own people by your choice, you will get better representation.
Oh, absolutely.
And probably as you deserve it.
Well, thank
you. That's a big thing, yeah.
But you had to say probably. Couldn't say you deserve it. No, you had to add probably.
As they say in Brooklyn, you deserve it.
Yeah, that I can understand.
You have to see that movie. This guy is unbelievable.
Oh, thank you.
3 Days of the Condor. It's a good movie, but this guy, unbelievable.
For some reason, I never got into it. I don't know why. I know it's based on the book, isn't it?
Yeah.
The book is 6 Days of the Condor. I read the book.
They had to cut it down.
They reduced it for the
movies
holidays.
have to be like in 3 days. 6 days is too long to drag out a movie. But they did a nice job in condensing it.
And
The movie was better than the book because it's condensed.
Anyway, guys, we have to end our series now. Hope you guys had fun.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
And definitely, you'll be back. If you want to come, you might not anymore. Anyway.
They're going to walk out of here and say, God, I can't believe we were with those two bozos.
Say goodbye.
All right. Hey, this is Stan Weisleder on The View from Over Here, and it's Betty Bye time.
It's Malcolm Digital Radio, and this show will be on forever. It will last forever in the archives of cyberspace.
Wow.
And also on my website. So if you're embarrassed or you don't like it,
Turn it off.
Nothing you could do about it. Okay, Aaron, it's a wrap. Turn us off.